There's a specific kind of person you've probably met. They know exactly what to say to get under your skin. They know which topic makes your jaw tighten, which comment makes your voice go up half an octave, which tone, which smirk, which perfectly timed remark will pull you out of yourself and into a version of you that you're not proud of afterward. Maybe it's a family member at dinner who brings up the one subject guaranteed to start a fight. Maybe it's a coworker who has a gift for making small slights sound accidental. Maybe it's an ex who still knows every button and isn't above pressing them. Maybe it's a stranger online who says exactly the thing designed to make you respond. And the worst part isn't the moment itself. The worst part is what comes after. When you're sitting alone replaying it and realizing again that you let it happen, that you handed someone the remote control to your emotions and they used it without hesitation. That ends today. Because staying calm when someone tries to trigger you is not about being passive. It's not about suppressing who you are or pretending things don't affect you. It's about something far more powerful than that. It's about becoming genuinely difficult to move. Here's how. First, understand what a trigger actually is. Most people think their triggers are caused by other people. That when someone says the wrong thing, the emotional reaction that follows is a natural, inevitable consequence. Like cause and effect, like gravity. It isn't. A trigger is not something that exists in the other person's words. It lives in you. It's a sensitivity, usually built over time, usually connected to something real and meaningful in your history, that certain words, tones, or behaviors can activate. The other person doesn't create the reaction. They find an existing nerve and press it. This distinction is not about blame. It's not about saying your reactions are your fault and therefore you have no right to feel them. It's about something more useful than that. If the trigger lives in you, if it's yours, then it's also something you have the power to understand, to work with, and over time, to reduce. The person who knows their own triggers is significantly harder to manipulate than the person who thinks their reactions are simply things that happen to them, because awareness creates a gap. And in that gap, between the moment someone says the thing and the moment you respond, is where everything changes. 1. Recognize the attempt before you react to it. Not everyone who triggers you is doing it deliberately. Some people are careless, some are oblivious. Some are dealing with their own unresolved chaos and you happen to be in range. But some people are deliberate. Some people, and if you look back at your life you'll recognize them, have figured out that getting you emotional gives them an advantage. It shifts the dynamic. It makes you the one who looks reactive, unstable, or difficult. It hands them a story to tell about you. And it keeps them in the position of the calm, reasonable party, which in most social contexts means the credible one. When you learn to recognize a deliberate trigger attempt for what it is, not a genuine comment, not honest feedback, not a real attack that requires a real defense, something shifts. Instead of experiencing the emotional charge as something happening to you, you start to see it as information about the other person. What they just revealed is that they want a reaction. They need one. They tried to produce one. That reframe from I'm being attacked to I'm watching someone try something creates distance. It makes the whole thing slightly abstract, and abstraction is the enemy of the impulsive reaction they were counting on. You see the move. Now you can decide whether to play. 2. Buy yourself time with your body before your mouth. The biology here matters. When you perceive a threat, and a trigger, whether emotional or social, registers in your brain as a threat, your nervous system responds. Cortisol and adrenaline spike. Heart rate increases. Blood moves toward your muscles and away from the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for measured, rational decision-making. In plain terms, the moment you're triggered is precisely the moment your brain is least equipped to make a good decision about how to respond. This is not a character flaw. It's a design feature that has kept humans alive for a very long time. The problem is that it was calibrated for physical threats, not for someone making a pointed remark at a dinner table. The fix is physiological before it's psychological. Slow your breathing down, not dramatically. You don't need to make a production of it. Just one slow inhale through the nose, a beat of holding, and a controlled exhale. Do this once, maybe twice. It directly activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the biological counterweight to the fight-or-flight response, and starts pulling you back from the edge. Drop your shoulders if they've risen. Unclench your jaw if it's tight. Feel your feet on the ground. These are small physical resets, and they work because your emotional state and your physical state are not separate systems. They're constantly talking to each other. Change one and you begin to change the other. You're buying yourself seconds, and seconds in a triggered moment are everything. 3. Don't perform calm. Find it. Here's a trap a lot of people fall into when they learn about emotional regulation. They start performing calm, they go quiet, their face goes neutral, they stop visibly reacting. And on the surface, it looks like composure. But underneath, nothing has actually changed. The anger is still there, the hurt is still there, it's just being held behind a mask. That's suppression. And suppression is not the same as regulation. Suppression is exhausting, it's unsustainable, it tends to break at the worst possible moments, usually producing a reaction that's larger and more disproportionate than the original trigger warranted. Because all that compressed emotion finally found an exit. Real calm is something different. Real calm is not the absence of feeling, it's the presence of perspective. It's the part of you that can feel the anger rising and simultaneously hold a larger view of the situation. That can acknowledge, yes, that stung, without immediately making it the only thing that's true. That can ask in real time, is this moment actually as significant as my nervous system is telling me it is? Is this person actually as powerful as my reaction is treating them? Is this worth what responding emotionally will cost me? The answers to those questions, honestly arrived at even quickly, are often enough to take the charge out of the moment. Not eliminate it, not pretend it isn't there, but reduce it to something manageable. Something you're choosing how to work with rather than being dragged by. 4. Get comfortable being misunderstood in the short term. One of the deepest reasons people react to triggers is the terror of being misrepresented. Someone says something about you that isn't true, or frames your behavior in a way that's unfair, or implies something about your character that you know is wrong, and the impulse is immediate and powerful. You need to correct the record, right now, in this room, in front of these people. And that urgency, that need to be understood and defended and seen accurately in this specific moment, is what the person triggering you is often counting on. Because the moment you start defending yourself emotionally and reactively, you've already lost the optics. You look rattled. You look like someone with something to hide. You look like someone whose behavior, whatever it actually is, can be destabilized by a few pointed words. The counterintuitive truth is that your reputation is better served by not defending it in the moment than by rushing to protect it while you're still flooded. Let the moment pass. Stay grounded, and trust that who you actually are, demonstrated consistently over time through how you carry yourself, will say more than any heated defense you could have offered in that charged moment. You don't have to win every room in real time. The long game almost always matters more. 5. Use the gray rock method for repeat offenders. If you have someone in your life, a family member, a coworker, someone you can't simply remove, who consistently tries to trigger you, there's a specific approach that works better than almost anything else. It's called the gray rock method, and the concept is exactly what it sounds like. You become uninteresting, unresponsive, flat. Not cold, not hostile, not passive-aggressive, just unremarkable. When they say the thing designed to provoke you, you respond with the bare minimum. Neutral tone, short answers, no visible emotional engagement, nothing that gives them the reaction they came for. The key insight behind this approach is that people who deliberately trigger others are, at their core, looking for a response. The emotional reaction is the reward. It confirms their power over you. It gives them something to work with. It makes the interaction feel significant to them. A gray rock gives them nothing. And most people, even the most persistent provocateurs, eventually stop pressing a button that doesn't produce anything interesting. This requires patience. The first few times you try it, the provocations may actually intensify before they decrease, because the person isn't getting what they want and they're escalating to find the threshold. Or hold steady. The escalation is not a sign the approach isn't working. It's often a sign that it is. 6. Process it after, not during. Here's something important that often gets overlooked in conversations about emotional regulation. Staying calm in the moment does not mean pretending the moment didn't affect you. What happened, happened. If it stung, it stung. If it made you angry, you're allowed to be angry. Feelings are not the problem. Unprocessed feelings that get acted out in the wrong context, that's the problem. So after the moment has passed, after you've held your composure and navigated the situation the way you wanted to, find a space to actually process it. Talk to someone you trust. Write it down. Go somewhere and let yourself feel it without an audience. Do whatever allows the emotional charge to move through you and out rather than getting lodged somewhere and building pressure for next time. This is not weakness. This is maintenance. The people who seem unshakable are not made of stone. They've just built the habit of doing their emotional processing in private rather than in public, which means they get to choose when and how their feelings are visible, rather than having them pulled out of them by anyone who knows the right angle. 7. Understand that staying calm is the most powerful response possible. This is the part that changes how you think about all of this. Staying calm when someone tries to trigger you is not the consolation prize for people who can't think of a good comeback. It is the most sophisticated, most effective, most powerful response available to you in that moment. Here's why. When someone tries to provoke you and succeeds, when you explode or fall apart or get visibly rattled, they have demonstrated something, that they have leverage over you, that your emotional state can be operated from the outside, that the right words from the right person can move you in directions you didn't choose to go. When someone tries to provoke you and fails, when you remain centered, when you respond from a place of genuine steadiness, when they can see that their attempt simply did not land the way they intended, they have demonstrated something too, that you are not available for that. That whatever they thought they had on you, they were wrong. That there is a foundation in you that their words could not reach. You cannot overstate what that communicates to them, to everyone watching, and most importantly, to yourself. Because every time you hold your composure in a moment that was specifically designed to take it from you, you prove something to yourself that no one else can prove for you, that you are in charge of yourself, that your reactions belong to you, that you get to decide who you become under pressure. That is not a small thing. That is one of the most important things. Here's the truth about being triggered. Nobody is beyond it. The most emotionally intelligent people in the world still have sensitivities, still have moments where something lands close enough to something real that the automatic response fires before the thoughtful one can catch up. The goal is not to become someone who feels nothing. That person doesn't exist, and if they did, they wouldn't be someone you'd want to become. The goal is to narrow the gap between the trigger and the response, between the impulse and the choice, between the version of you that reacts and the version of you that decides. Every time you work with that gap, every time you breathe through the spike, name the attempt, buy yourself the seconds, find the perspective, you make the gap a little wider. You make the automatic response a little slower. You make the deliberate response a little more available. And over time, not overnight, not without setbacks, but over real time with real practice, you become someone who is genuinely hard to move, not because nothing reaches you, but because you've built something inside you that holds